Our next question is Perry Horton. I thought I would list below some of the people you and Dutch can touch on, if possible. Thanks for your time. I only picked one. He gave me a big long list, but I've only picked one because I thought this was interesting. Your opinions on J.J. Dillon as a manager in the office, WCW and WWF as talent relations as well.
J.J. Dillon is what I call a politician. I don't know how he got in the business, but he was in the business by the time I got in. And he was like a wrestler, but he didn't look like a wrestler. He did, but he didn't. And his actual talent laid in talking, and that's why he became a manager. When he worked with before WCW, he worked in the Charlotte office. He was he set a lot of things up. He was actually the booker. I didn't know this about a year ago, that he would book the main events, and he would book the Road Warriors and Dusty or with the Rock and Roll Express against the Russians or the Andersons. And that's all he'd do. He'd book one match, Dusty would, and then he would come and give the list of the other matches to JJ, and JJ'd work the rest of it out. That was and that's how he learned to book. So he was really, I think, a mind behind. He figured out a lot of stuff that normally the booker would figure out, but he was a booker like behind the scenes, and nobody ever knew that. So if somebody didn't like a finish, they'd blame Dusty, and he wouldn't tell them different, but it was him. JJ, he was a good guy too.
Did you work with him in Florida at any point?
That's where I met him. He was a wrestler then. And I guess he was J.J. Dillon then. He teamed up with Roger Kirby for a while, the two blondes. And they had a pretty good little run there.
As far as JJ in the WWF, while you were in the WWF, he was head of talent relations at that point.
Yes, he was.
And I suppose, in a sense, he was maybe your direct boss. I know Vince McMahon's the boss, of course, but JJ would be the person you go to for a various amount of things. So what was he like in that role?
He was good. He wouldn't, but he had been a wrestler, so he knew what the traveling was like. And when you went to him with something like that, he would listen, and he would try to solve the problem. He was actually pretty good. And in Charlotte, when I worked with him there, this is before WCW, Crockett, he would hire a plane, a little Gulfstream 9 or whatever, but you could get like, I don't know, 14 guys, maybe 16 on it. And I used to tell him, I'd go in the office, or I'd call him. I said, JJ, get me on that plane, man. I don't feel like driving today. He said, well, I can't promise, but I'll see what I can do. And he got me on the plane. Because you'd meet a plane, and I may have said this before, sometimes it'd be a 3-hour trip. A plane is like an hour. And you get on the plane, you land, you got some people there to pick you up, take you to the arena, and take you back, get on the plane. Instead of being back at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're back at 1 o'clock in the morning. So he handled mostly that. And, whatever happened to a wrestler, if it was personal or if it was about a show or something, Dusty wouldn't handle it. JJ would.
This is just while you were talking then, I just was reminded of a story I heard somewhere years and years ago. Was on the Crockett plane, was Sam Houston in trouble for always heavy petting with Baby Doll?
I don't remember that. And if it was, it wouldn't bother me anyway, but it may have bothered some people.